rappelle, il est maintenant 7h05, alors je vais débuter la rencontre. Et, je vous remercie d'être ici ce soir. Nous sommes représentés par des artilleurs et en service et anciens de la Norvège jusqu'en Colombie-Britannique. Please note that tonight's proceedings will be recorded, and if ever you want to catch back on it or hear some of the speaking points, just let us know. We'll share it with you. Veuillez prendre note que la séance sera enregistrée, et si vous en voulez une copie, simplement nous le dire si vous voulez revisiter les commentaires de nos invités. So welcome, and although officially May 26th is our birthday, our artillery day, we're celebrating tonight in order to maximize participation and not take away from unit events. And it turns out not be the same day as a royal visit to Canada, which may have overtaken us. So I thank you for being here a couple of days before our official birthday. Alors, ce soir, je vous remercie d'être ici, car nous fêtons officiellement la fête de l'artillerie le 26 mai. Toutefois, afin de ne pas empêcher les activités au niveau des unités et pas aller à l'encontre de la visite royale, nous avons choisi de faire ce soir. Alors, merci d'être ici. The association is very busy trying to accomplish its mission of promoting the effectiveness of the Royal Canadian Artillery and looking at the welfare of its members. And I'd like to give you just an overview of a couple of things that we've done before continuing with the evening. Alors, l'association demeure fort occupée dans sa mission de promouvoir l'efficacité de l'artillerie et le mieux-être de ses membres. Et j'aimerais juste porter votre attention quelques événements que nous sommes en train de préparer et que nous allons faire afin d'accomplir ceci. So the first thing I really want to strike home is the annual general meeting, which will take place this fall on the 3rd and 4th of October in Gagetown, New Brunswick. The AGM is this year has a larger number of sponsors than we've had in recent years, and we will. Pleased to say that tentatively the Army Commander is committed to joining us as our keynote speaker for it. And because of the number of sponsors we have, and because of the interest by the Army Commander, we're going to be stretching out the AGM over the full day and a half, actually starting at 10:30 in the morning on the 3rd to end with the special guest night on the 4th. Alors, notre Assemblée générale aura lieu le 3 et 4 octobre cet automne à Gagetown, et nous sommes heureux de dire que le commandant de l'armée a tentativement accepté d'être avec nous pour être notre invité d'honneur pour l'AGA et possiblement avec nous pour la soirée du samedi. L'AGA va débuter à 10h30 le 3 et terminer avec la soirée le 4. The sponsors we have come from across defense industry. So we not only have the commissionaires, which are steadfast supporters, but we have Lockheed Martin, we have Hanwha, Patriot Forge, a company that specializes, OVAI, which specializes in goggles, and we're excited to have them all join us for this AGM. So nous avons plusieurs commanditaires de l'industrie de la défense. Nous avons Hanwha, Lockheed Martin, OVAI, et naturellement les commissionnaires qui sont toujours avec nous lors de nos AGA. Alors, je vous invite de mettre ceci sur votre calendrier afin de vous rejoindre à nous pour cette activité spéciale qui est aidée en part par le 4e régiment. So please put the AGM to your calendar, and a special shout out and thanks to the 4th Regiment in Gagetown, which is doing some hard work to put it together with us. The school is helping out. The 3rd Field is going to be providing music for the special guest night, etc. So it's really an entire family a regimental family effort. So that was the first thing. The second point is about the Gunner Peer Sport Program. So really, that's our charitable arm. If you don't know about it, go to our website and read about it. You know, we have gunners in need, and we try to come to their assistance, and we do this rapidly. Almost informally. We give them $500 to get through the edge of a crisis. It could be health, it could be family related. We come to the aid of 2 to 3 members a month, and we can't do that without generous donations of individuals. And last year, for example, we did a silent auction during the AGM, and that raised $3,000 towards the Gunner Pierce Sport program. But $1,000 a month, that that doesn't go very far. So we need help. We need you to contribute, or go to the website and you'll find about Wooden Bike Coffee. So retired Lieutenant Colonel Mark Wilson got us a sponsor from out west. They sell coffee. It's really good. It's I've ordered the Charge 5 and the Charge 3, I think. So like a dark roast and a medium roast is really tasty. And if you order $100 worth of coffee, it's free, the shipping is free. And if I'm not mistaken, there's I can't remember if it's $8 or $9 of each bag goes towards the Gunner Pierce Sport program. So highly encourage you to go to the website and order Wooden Bike Coffee. Alors, mon deuxième point est vraiment notre programme d'aide aux pères tiers, qui est la charité que nous gérons au niveau de l'association. Tous les mois, nous aidons 2 à 3 artilleurs avec des dons de $500 afin de les amener à travers une crise qu'ils vivent à la maison. Ça peut être un feu à la maison, ça peut être un décès dans la famille. On est là pour aider nos artilleurs. L'année dernière, avec l'enquête silencieuse, on a pu, lors de l'AGA, on a pu amasser $3,000. Mais on a besoin d'argent et pour faire ceci, on a soit besoin de vos dons ou que vous contribuez à nos enquêtes silencieuses, ou encore mieux, vous pouvez aller à notre site web et acheter du café d'une compagnie qui s'appelle Wooden Bike Coffee. Et eux, ce qu'ils font, c'est une partie de leur vente va vers le Gunner Pierce Pro Program. Alors, du bon café pour une bonne cause. And the last thing I just really want to quite make a plug for, if you haven't been, I encourage you to go on Amazon, and the way I find it is I type with a few guns, but if you type Dave Grebstad's book Iron Indignation, it'll take you to in brackets to a thing called the RCA collection. If you click on that, you'll see that the association's been working now for about a year and a half about bringing back to print a number of books which have been no longer in print, and the thousands of copies that were purchased back in the 80s are now sold out. So they are now available. Examples of books available through Double Dagger Books but sold through Amazon are Gunners of Canada Volumes 1 and 2, with Few Guns, which is a more recent one. The General Guy Simmons biography. The John Dick wrote a book on the history of the IG hat. That's there. You'll also find Dave Grebstad's book, Iron Indignation, there. And coming soon, you'll have a number of other books, including General Ernie Bino's book on training to fight and win, the history of the Airborne Regiment, the history of 30th Field, and others. Alors, nous vous invitons à continuer à connaître notre histoire. On a fait un partenariat avec Double Dagger Books, et maintenant, à travers Amazon, vous pouvez acheter nos livres. Qui étaient plus en publication, mais qui sont maintenant rendus disponibles à nouveau. Gunners of Canada, volume 1 et 2, l'histoire des casquettes d'instituteurs de série, With a Few Guns, la version française qui sera disponible sous peu, l'histoire du 5e et RALC est également disponible. Et sous peu, on va avoir d'autres livres disponibles, incluant Right of the Line, et autres bouquins. Alors, je vous encourage de connaître mieux notre histoire et de partager notre héritage en visitant Amazon pour acheter les livres. Proceeds from the book sales come to the association and then allow us to do things like Gunner Pierce Sport Program, the bursaries and whatnot. Alors, les fonds qu'on fait, ce n'est pas des grosses sommes d'argent, mais on les utilise pour le programme d'aide aux artilleurs, les bourses d'études et autres programmes que nous gérons. So I just wanted to offer that sort of as opening examples of what we do. There's many more examples. Leon's leading the charge with Mark Wilson about reviving our historical committee. We're looking at creating a memorandum of understanding with the Royal Australian Artillery Association, our partnership to share information and best practice. So these are all good things, and I'm forever thankful for the team of volunteers, small and mighty team of volunteers that do this for us. So that, without further ado, and as we continue the evening, I've asked Dave Grebstad, Colonel Dave Grebstad, to join us this evening and offer us the land acknowledgement and a historical note on the importance of this event. So, Dave, I know I saw you earlier talking about sardines in Norway, so the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I appreciate that kind introduction. Good evening, everybody. Bonjour à tous et à toutes. As Steph mentioned, my name is Colonel Dave Grebstad, former regimental colonel, currently deputy commander of the Canadian Armed Forces Transition Group. I also have a secondary duty as champion of the National Capital Region Defense Indigenous Advisory Group, and I'm a proud citizen of the Red River Métis Nation. So with that said, I'm very, very proud and humbled and honored to be able to offer this land acknowledgement. I just want to highlight, though, before I get into it, one thing, and I'll close with a brief historical note at the end as well, that we are currently in the middle of what is Indigenous Awareness Week for the Department of National Defense and the Canadian Armed Forces. And I'd like to highlight that the theme of this year's Indigenous Awareness Week is "The difference you make today counts in all of our tomorrows. Ce que vous faites aujourd'hui contribuera à l'avenir de tous." As I join you this evening from Ottawa, I wish to begin by acknowledging that I am situated on the unceded ancestral territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation, whose presence here extends back to time immemorial. The Anishinaabe Algonquin people are the traditional stewards of the Ottawa River watershed and its tributaries, and we honor their enduring relationship with this land and their long history of welcoming many nations to this territory. I also recognize that many of you are joining from across Canada and beyond. I encourage each of you to take a moment to reflect on the Indigenous people whose lands you are situated on, each with their own deep histories, cultures, and contributions. Wherever we are, let us strive to learn about and respect the Indigenous nations who have lived on and cared for these lands since time immemorial. Alors que je vous adresse la parole ce soir depuis Ottawa, je tiens à souligner que je me trouve sur le territoire ancestral non cédé de la nation Anishinaabe algonquine, dont la présence remonte à des temps immémoriaux. Le peuple Anishinaabe algonquin est le gardien traditionnel du bassin versant de la rivière des Outaouais et de ses affluents. Nous rendons hommage à leur lien durable avec cette terre et à leur longue tradition d'accueil des nombreuses nations sur le territoire. Je reconnais également que plusieurs d'entre vous nous rejoignent depuis d'autres régions du Canada, voire de l'étranger. Je vous invite à prendre un moment pour réfléchir aux peuples autochtones sur les terres desquelles vous vous trouvez, chacun ayant sa propre histoire, sa propre culture et ses précieuses contributions. Peu importe où nous sommes, engageons-nous à mieux connaître et à respecter les nations autochtones qui habitent et protègent ces territoires depuis des temps immémoriaux. In closing, I'd just like to remind everybody that we are right now in the 100th and 40th anniversary of the Northwest Resistance or the Northwest Rebellion. And I'd like you to take a moment and pause and reflect on that, as that was the last time that the Canadian Army took up arms against its own citizens. And I'd like to highlight some key advances we've made in the realm of reconciliation with regards to that anniversary. In a short story shared by the commander of the Canadian Army today during the Indigenous Awareness Week event at NDHQ, he highlighted a key development in that the Governor General's Foot Guard, who used to toast on their Cut Knife Hill mess dinner, they would toast the sharpshooters of Cut Knife Hill, which referred to the Ottawa sharpshooters, which is a unit they force generated for the battle or for the resistance. Instead, they've now changed their regimental toast to toasting the sharpshooters and warriors of Cut Knife Hill, respecting the Indigenous, specifically the First Nations and Métis warriors who they faced at Cut Knife Hill. I think that's an excellent theme to end on, and how we can find a way forward with reconciliation if we just choose to look at our history in a certain way. Thank you very much. Bonsoir à tous et à toutes.
Merci, Dave. Thank you very much for that. It's an important thing to do, one that I was reminded, and we started at our AGM last year, and one that we hope at the RCAA to perpetuate going forward. I will now, before continuing with our special guests, I would like to put Bill Kalogerakis on the spot. Alors, j'aimerais mettre Bill Kalogerakis dans la lumière et lui demander de nous faire une courte aperçu de l'importance de célébrer la journée d'artillerie. So, Bill, if you could take us through the importance of Artillery Day and why it's worth celebrating.
Certainly, Mr. President, and thank you. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Président. Ladies and gentlemen, Mesdames, Messieurs, Artillery Day is celebrated annually on the 26th of May. In 1952, the Colonel Commandant, Major General H.O.N. Brownfield, sought and received permission to adopt the Royal Artillery birth date, which was 26 May 1716, as Artillery Day for the Royal Regiment of Canadian Artillery. As such, Artillery Day is symbolic of the close fraternal relationship that exists between Commonwealth regiments of artillery. On this occasion, the Colonel Commandant, on behalf of the Royal Regiment, extends loyal greetings to, hopefully someday, our Captain General, but he will send loyal greetings to the King. Au Canada, la journée de l'artillerie est soulignée par divers événements organisés par le Régiment royal de l'artillerie canadienne. Ces activités incluant des rassemblements communautaires, des présentations historiques, des défilés et des journées portes ouvertes visant à sensibiliser le public à l'histoire et aux contributions du régiment. See also, the RCAA hosts its annual Coast to Coast Toast to commemorate Artillery Day. This national online event brings together gunners and friends and family of the gunners to celebrate their common heritage and receive remarks from the senior members of the regiment. La journée de l'artillerie est un rappel poignant de l'héritage durable et des contributions des unités d'artillerie au sein des forces armées canadiennes. Elle entretient un sentiment de fierté et de continuité chez les membres actuels et anciens du régiment. Merci beaucoup. Mr. President.
Hey, Bill, thanks for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're honored this evening to have a number of special guests. Alors, nous sommes heureux d'avoir avec nous plusieurs invités spéciaux pour célébrer cette soirée. So with us tonight, if you scroll through on the right side, you'll see that the Colonel Commandant is with us. Thank you, sir, for being there. Alors, le Colonel Commandant est avec nous. Notre artilleur principal en service, our senior serving gunner, Brigadier General Masson, is here. Chief Warrant Officer McGowan, RSM RCA, alors Jean-Chef McGowan, le SMR de l'Artillerie Royale Canadienne est ici. And you'll also see Colonel Ryan Simpson, the regimental colonel, le Colonel Ryan Simpson, le Colonel Régimentaire. Colonel Chris Sines is currently on TD and unable to attend as director. I should also point out, as you're going through, you'll see a famous or infamous gunners who have contributed to the success of artillery over the years. You'll see the generals Beer, Leslie, and McDonald on the call, and you'll also see a number of others, and one that I failed to highlight when I spoke of the AGM, Colonel Paul Williams, the base commander in Gagetown, who's thrown his support behind the AGM this fall. Alors, messieurs, merci d'être ici avec nous ce soir. Et je céderai maintenant la parole au colonel commandant, le brigadier général Dave Patterson, pour ses commentaires d'ouverture pour la soirée. Colonel Commandant, your opening remarks, please, sir.
Merci, Stéphane. Thank you, Stéphane. Can you hear me? Good.
Yeah, loud and clear, sir.
Thumbs up. All right. So thank you for those introductory words, and thank you for Bill for his explanation. I also want to acknowledge the presence of our gunner version of Stadler and Waldorf, Bob Poirier and Norbert Dufresne out there in Manitoba, auditioning for the role. Good to see you both. Artillery Day, and Bill gave us the origin of it, but what's the importance of it? L'importance de ce jour-là, c'est une journée unificatrice, a unifying day. I was asked, and I may have told this story to some of you before, I was asked at a forum in Montreal a couple of years ago by a gunner from 5e, why do we use the British Artillery birthday as our Artillery Day? Why don't we use one of our birthdays? And so I asked him, which one would you use? Because we have dozens of them, and they go back to the 1780s if you're in St. John, or the 1855 if you're in Montreal, or 1871 if you're a regular force gunner. So we have them a multitude of days that we also celebrate as our birthdays. But Artillery Day really is about unifying our regiment and our brother and sister regiments across the Commonwealth. C'est une journée pour renforcer cette union des artilleurs parmi tout le Commonwealth. J'ai envoyé non seulement des vœux à notre souveraine, mais aussi au colonel commandant des 3 autres régiments de Commonwealth en Australie, en Nouvelle-Zélande et en Grande-Bretagne. So I sent Artillery Day greetings to not only the King, but also our fellow regiments in the UK, in New Zealand, and Australia to mark this day where we note the unity of the Gunner family, the unity of the Gunner badge, and the unity of our support to our armies across the world. And also within our own regiment, between regular and reserve, retired and serving, it is a day for us to get together as a family across the regiment and celebrate what makes being a gunner such a great thing. We currently have gunners, regular reserve deployed in Latvia, serving the guns. We're about to send a new contingent over there. It should be deploying very soon. And they will continue to on our proud tradition of supporting NATO, supporting our allies, and demonstrating that gunners can lead at the battalion level in the NATO organization. So we have a lot to be proud of. We have a lot to look forward to in the future. Notre avenir comme artilleur est assez important. Et nous avons une grande famille efficace et fière. Donc, merci pour votre présence ce soir. Thank you all for being here. Ubik, Megwich.
Bon, Général, merci. Thank you, sir. As we celebrate the regimental family that the Colonel Commandant so proudly speaks of, afin de célébrer la famille régimentaire duquel le Colonel Commandant est très fier, I will now turn over to the regimental colonel to announce the winners of 3 awards that normally get announced at this event. So I know I saw you here, le Colonel Ryan Stimson, pour annoncer 3 gagnants de compétition de cette année. Alors, Ryan, I know I saw you. I just can't see you right now.
I'm here, there, Steph.
Over to you, my friend.
John, Colonel Commandant, Senior Serving Gunner, distinguished members of the Royal Canadian Artillery Association and fellow gunners, both serving and retired, good evening. I'm Colonel Ryan Stimson, Regimental Colonel, ravi de vous voir tous ce soir. C'est avec plaisir que je souligne ce soir certaines reconnaissances bien méritées au sein de notre famille régimentaire. It's my pleasure tonight to highlight some well-deserved recognition within our regimental family. Kick things off, Colonel Commandant's commendation. We're proud to announce that Lieutenant Colonel Inslee has been awarded the Colonel Commandant Commendation for his exceptional service as Deputy Regimental Colonel from 2022 to 2024. He'll be receiving this at a 2RCHA in the near future. Second up is the Jeffrey Brooks Memorial Essay Competition. So first place went to Tip of the Spear, Cloud Puncher by Captain Damian Fiaca from the Royal Canadian Artillery School. Second place, A Life of a Reserve Gunner by Sergeant Eric Waller from 3 Field. Third place, Local Defense Concepts by Bombardier William Wittarian, 1RCHA. Félicitations à tous pour leur contribution réfléchie. Next up is the Brigadier General Bino Award for Outstanding Leadership at rank of Sergeant. For Regular Force, the Sergeant Gagnon from 1RCHA. The Primary Reserve, Sergeant Suthers from 11th Field. Next up, Captain General Sword for Outstanding Leadership at rank of Captain. Regular Force, Captain McCabe from 1RCHA. Primary Reserve, Captain O'Higgins Wilson from 5 Field Regiment. These individuals have demonstrated excellence, leadership, and service. Nous les félicitons pour le dévouement. Congratulations for all the recipients tonight. Back to you, Steph.
Thanks you, Reginald Colonel. Merci, Ryan. It's a great news, and congratulations to all the recipients, to all those who would have encouraged them to make submissions to the essays or nominated them for the awards. Alors, merci à tous ceux qui ont supporté les membres, soit dans leur soumission pour les nominations ou dans leur travail. So I will now come to the formal part of the evening before going to some more words from our guests. I'm going to call on the Colonel Commandant to offer the toast to His Majesty King Charles. Alors, si vous voulez bien, mon général, c'est le temps de lever notre verre et faire un toast à notre Majesté le Roi Charles. À vous.
Merci, Stéphane. Thank you, Stéphane. And we are certainly honored that very soon the King will be visiting Canada to open Parliament, and have a subtle hope that Murray Beer will take the opportunity to tackle him and get him to sign the document declaring himself the Captain General. So that's your implied task, Murray. So we join us, as we're all here on the Artillery Day, we like to toast our sovereign. So please join me in a toast to the King of Canada. King. I will note that I am using the Association whiskey for my toast.
And sir, that's a great plug. So that was, I don't know if that's the leftovers from Ubique 150, but there is a new whiskey available for those who need one for future toasts. Alors, je vous encourage à aller à Glengarry pour acheter le prochain whisky de l'association qu'on a fait, en fin de compte, que Bill Calvaracus a travaillé pour mettre en place pour souligner notre 150e anniversaire l'année prochaine. So the new whiskey available to us is for the association is to highlight the 150th anniversary of the association, which will take place next year. Thanks to Bill. All right, so I mentioned at the beginning we had a number of special guests, and I'm honored at this point to introduce my friend, le Brigadier Général Stéphane Masson, l'artilleur principal en service, the senior serving gunner. General Masson and I go back far too long. He has seen me at my best and at my worst, and I couldn't be prouder to have seen him take up the reins as senior serving gunner this year. Alors, Général Stéphane, artilleur principal en service, je vous laisse la parole si vous voulez bien.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Steph, toujours un honneur de devoir prendre le lead de l'association. C'est un privilège. Colonel commandant, officiers généraux, colonel, adjudant-chef, membre de la famille régimentaire. It's a real privilege to be here. Sorry, I didn't have time to transition to my fancy blazer. We're briefing the strat level today with the new minister, new team in town. This is exciting time, and I'm going to take a few minutes later on just to unpack or give you a bit of an update on where we sit as an army and the artillery. So I want to echo what the Colonel Conan mentioned earlier. This is great to gather and spend time a little bit virtually with the regional family. This is the right thing to do, and if there's one thing, we need to do it more often. And I'm glad that the president announced the date for the AGM in Gagetown, which I will do my best, obviously, to be there and socialize with the regional family. Before I go ahead with my update from an Army and artillery perspective, I'd like just to share two important announcements. So it was communicated using the Ken Fortune earlier in the spring, mais c'est mon privilège juste de confirmer à l'ensemble de la famille régimentaire l'appointement du brigadier général Marie-Christine Harvey cet été à l'EPS comme commandante de la 2e division de l'armée à Ottawa. Et aussi en parallèle, Colonel Sarah here has been assigned or will be assigned as Commander 6th Brigade in Kingston. So those ladies are amazing leaders. They've been selected by the Army for who they are and their ability to lead their respective formation into the Army's future. So, très honoré d'avoir ces deux leaders-là à la tête d'organisations importantes du sein de l'armée. And those two ladies are making us proud, absolutely. All right, let's talk about what's going on within the Army. So I'm going to use the fact that our director, Colonel Chris Sine, is away. I sent him away for a week. So I'm going to take advantage of that and give a bit of an update on what he does, but also where the Army fits. So it's a great time to be in the Army, and it's even a better time to be a gunner. There's a lot going on, and this new environment that we're in Ottawa, it's a great opportunity for us as a member of the Army, but also gunners, to take advantage of the situation and get ourselves into the next milestone. So, as you may have heard, the Army is modernizing. And some of you may say, yeah, we're modernizing again, but I can tell you that our commander, General Wright, he is personally involved and he's driving this modernization. You may have not heard much about it yet, but I can promise you that within the next few months, you will hear a lot about this. So the Army is modernizing for 3 reasons. Because right now, the Army that we have is not the Army that we need. The Army that we have is not agile and scalable to be able to cope or face up to the different tasks that we have. Et l'armée qu'on a présentement rencontre pas les mandats qui nous sont assignés par nos alliés et notre gouvernement. So let's be very clear. There's an urgency to modernize the Army. And as I said, General Wright himself is driving this initiative. So while most of this is still pre-decisional, what I can share with you is the Army that you will see tomorrow will not look at the Army that we have right now. We want to build an Army that will be able to provide a division level warfighting Army. So we're going to move away from battle groups. We're going to move away from brigades and CMBG. What we want to provide to this government and our partners and allies is an Army that is able to fight, survive, and be as self-sufficient as possible at the divisional level. I know it's very bold. I know we're not ready for that, but this is the way we need to go. This will entail several changes within the Army. We gotta realign some of the divisions. We will have a warfighting division that will be solely focused at force generating, training, and on-call deploy troops at home and abroad. We will have a separate division that will be solely focused on continental defense, making sure that Canadians are protected and defended at home. This will include everything that is related to requests for assistance, J7, floods, sandbagging, and the like, but also to be able to provide the support to defend and provide deterrence in all over continental Canada. It is a very ambitious role that cannot pay lip service for too long, and now the Army want to be able to provide what it takes to be able to help the joint domain and have our part to play in there. We also have a training division and a sustainment division. So as I said, most of this is still pre-decisional, but in the month or so, you will see the Canadian Army strategy, which will be named the Inflection Point 2025, where you'll see in no more than 15 pages where the Army will go for the next 5 to 15 years. All this will be conditional to few things. The first thing we'll need additional soldiers. As you know, we are in a deficit in the Army, like it is across the Canadian forces, to rebuild our rank, to grow units and create new units. We'll need a lot more soldiers than we have now. Equally, we'll need to retain the soldiers that we have in our ranks. So we cannot afford to let our people go. So we need to take care of them, invest in them, listen to them, and find the best way to balance career, family expectation, and personal expectation. That's the only way we can grow and get the Army to where we need to go. We also need funding, every color of funding. We need money for maintenance, spare parts, additional benefits for our soldiers, and money for procurement and anything related to that. We are hopeful that this government will help us to invest more towards the defense as a whole, and we hope that the Army will have its fair share, because we all know that over the last little while, the Army was at the losing end of a lot of different initiatives. The Army is ready. We have put together a very good proposal to the new government to be able to easily invest back in the Army so we can re-equip, modernize, and provide our soldiers the equipment that they need to be able to face today's threat. There's good things in this modernization, and we as gunners, we should be happy about this. There's no one in the Army and within the Canadian Forces that is debating the value of the Royal Canadian Artillery. And this is great. This is half of the battle that doesn't have to be fought. What we will need to embrace change. So the good thing is, as you know very well, the government is investing very hard into the artillery. We have new capabilities that are about to get fielded. Some are already in process of being fielded. And we need to be thankful, and we'll need to celebrate that. But not everything will be perfect. Not every unit will have guns in the future. And it's quite simple, because the artillery is not about only guns anymore. So what I can guarantee at this point, that there's no unit in the artillery, either Reg Force or Reserve, that is considered to be re-rolled into a different role or a different capacity. That's a win, like right there. But the artillery, because it's not only about guns, some of the units in the Reserve or in the Reg Force may have to let go their guns and focus into another specialty that we have in the artillery. Surveillance, target acquisition, air defense, guns, OP, and even more the rockets that's coming down the pipe. So we just need to be aware of that. Once a gunner, always a gunner. No one's going to lose their hat badge, but we may ask some of us in the team to repurpose and realign within a different specialty in the artillery. And my commitment to you is, as soon as we know, as soon as the commander has made a decision, I will be the one sharing the news and providing all the rationale and the background to avoid any anxiety level within the regional family. Let's talk about what it is for the artillery. So you may have heard in the news that the GBAD, the ground-based air defense capability, is back into the Army. Baby steps. So in the next week or so, we should be able to declare IOC, the interim or initial operating capability in Latvia, where we have the first systems of the very short-range air defense capability that is now fielded in Latvia to protect Canadian soldiers. Significant milestone, knowing that we haven't done any air defense capability in the Army for the last 20 years. This is an important step, and the first step of several steps coming down the pipe. Once the VSHORAD is fielded, we're going to expand the air defense capability with the short-range air defense, where we're going to have a larger coverage, more capable system that will also be fielded first into theater in support of Canadians in Latvia. And after that, we're going to backfill what we need to be able to support Canadians at home in whatever task that will be assigned to the Army. So the air defense capability, it's back on. It's happening. The problem that we have now, Fort Regiment GS in Gagetown, they are at capacity. With the arrival of the new air defense system, plus the MRR that they have in the Air Defense Center and the SUAS, this unit needs to grow. So what will happen in the future? We will have to create an additional regiment on the East Coast to be able to afford and to be able to better apportion all the capabilities in the system that is currently residing only within Fort Regiment. So it's a great problem. We need to grow the artillery. Second item you may have read in the news is the long-range precision fire land, right? So the artillery will have a unit with rockets. So the plan for now is to buy up to 24 mobile rocket system. The system has not been announced, so I'm going to be very quiet about which contender we have in mind. And we're lucky. We have one of ours, a gunner, Rick Parent, who is leading the charge with ADMAT, is helping us to get the contract in place so we can acquire and deliver this capability that will reside in Shiloh. So you can quote me on that. This decision has been made by the Army commander 2 weeks ago. One RCHA will put their M777 away, and they will soon hopefully be equipped with rocket system. So a full regiment of rockets will be there as a divisional support asset to help the Army to fight at the level. Now, that will say that one brigade will lose their gun, so we're going to have to create another close support regiment that will have to be stood up in support of 3 division or 1 brigade out west. So all this to say that the artillery in the near future, as soon as we have enough gunner trained, we're going to have to create 2 more Reg Force regiments. 1 close support out west and 1 air defense regiment out east to be able to account for the additional equipment and the additional capability level that we will grow in the artillery. It's a great problem set. Thus the importance of keeping the gunners that we have with us and welcoming those who are considering joining us because we need them. We are the cool kids on the block, and we need to brag and promote about the fact that the artillery will soon be the most modernized Army entity in the Canadian Army. So it's pretty cool to be in that space, which was not always the space that we're in. The last big modernization initiative for the artillery is the indirect fire modernization. We all agree that the 777 served us very well in the past, but this is not the system that we need to survive and fight in the current battlefield. So we're going to move away from towed artillery, and we need to move into wheeled SP platforms of 155 caliber. This is what we have in mind. So we're going to revamp the 777 fleet for something more mobile, agile, that will not require a 10-person crew. And at the same time, we're going to also revamp the training fleet, and we will also revamp everything that is mortars. We need to look at that from a 1 indirect fire capability, and we will address all this at once. It is very ambitious. It will be very costly, but that's the way we need to do it. When I chat with the Army commander, I always compare the indirect fire modernization as big as our project that that's the Navy have for submarine. So it will be as big as it is for them that it is for now. So we're talking roughly $10 billion, expensive infrastructure, a lot of ammo, and a lot of equipment. So this will also include the replacement of the C3 and the LG1 that will have to move away. And for those units who will retain a gun system, they will either have access to the mortars, have access to SP with their close support regiment, or for those in and around Shiloh, my plan is to give them access to the rocket system so they can complement 1 RCHA when the time comes. So all this to say, this is exciting time for gunners. And what I really, really need is to make sure that everybody within the regional family, they're tracking and they're embracing the change. The last thing we need at this point is to send stray voltage and to send a narrative that the artillery is not on board with those changes. So I can guarantee that the artillery will not be the last one to be addressed. And again, as I said, new capabilities, the need for growth, major recap for all the equipment. This is the right place for us, the gunners. So this is the quick update that we have for modernization and what's in it for gunners. And my commitment to you and to everyone is to keep you appraised of all the changes and the decision. I wish I would be in a position to offer you more at this point, but I'll be respectful that the commander has not finalized decision on most of them. So again, super thankful to be online, and we can, if there's a Q&A at the end, Steph, I'll be more than happy to answer the question. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Hey, mon général, merci beaucoup. General, thank you very much. Since you've opened the door for questions, we'll take some here at the end before going away. So it's a good day to be a gunner, and I'll take the opportunity to plug again the AGM. For those who were able to join us last year, we had a series of working groups which Chris Sines is the director, developed the themes for. Those working groups helped him and his team as they work towards these projects that General Masson spoke about. And we hope to replicate similar working groups this fall in Gagetown. So if you're curious and interested in contributing to the future of the artillery, I encourage you to join us at the AGM with the brain trust that is the school for GS, which is on leading edge of many things, as we do those working groups to feed that back to the Army Commander. Alors, je vous invite à considérer à participer à l'Assemblée générale annuelle cet automne, car on va répliquer les groupes de travail de l'année dernière pour être capable d'aider le directeur d'artillerie avec son équipe afin de supporter la modernisation. Et croyez-moi, vos contributions comptent. I was told last year by General Masson and others that after the AGM, we wrote a letter to the Army Commander, which was very well received, and demonstrating the closeness and the unity of effort between the association, the retired individuals, the serving gunners, coast to coast, reg to reserve, as we put this our reflections on those working groups together. So thank you for being there last year, and I encourage you to be there with us next year. Alors, un gros merci à ceux qui étaient là l'année dernière. Le général Wright a apprécié nos contributions. On a fait une lettre pour récapituler l'événement l'année dernière, et on veut faire le même cette année. Alors, I would now, you can't have a good general speak without his RSM. So now I will turn to Chief Warrant Officer McGowan, RSM RCA, to offer a few words. Alors, on a toujours besoin de SMR pour nous ramener à l'ordre. L'adjudant-chef McGowan, le SMR ARC est avec nous. Alors, je lui offre l'opportunité de nous adresser la parole. RSM?
Thank you, Mr. President. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, you're loud and clear.
Perfect. Colonel Commandant, Senior Serving Gunner, RCA leadership, gunners past and present. Thanks for giving me a couple moments to speak. I just wanted to highlight a couple things based off Army selection boards that took place last month. We were extremely lucky and got 3 upcoming Chief Warrant Officer promotions. First one will be MWO Samuel Roy, who will be promoted to Chief Warrant Officer this summer and take over as RSM 4th Regiment General Support. We were lucky to get MWO JP Caron out of RMC, promoted to Chief Warrant Officer, and he'll head into base Suffield as the base Chief Warrant Officer. And MWO Kat Luton will be promoted to Chief Warrant Officer this summer and heading to CTC headquarters in a Sergeant Major role until taking over for the RCS Sergeant Major position next year. The next thing I'd like to just talk about is tempo. You're all tracking everything that's going on in the gunner world. It's a great time to be a gunner from equipment and capabilities time, but the tempo is extremely high right now on our soldiers. We are seeing deployments like we have not seen in recent history. We've got the multinational artillery battalion group overseas, currently led by folks from 1RCHA, and they're doing a fantastic job with the leadership team and a whole whack of soldiers, approximately 250 coming out of 2RCHA this summer to replace them, and then that cycle will continue. So tempo's high. That coupled with the missing middle that the senior serving has already discussed makes the tempo for our soldiers quite high. They're getting through it day by day, and they're working really hard and moving that yardstick as far as they can. I'm going to cede a little bit of my time here. We didn't really mention, but the Reserve RCA RSM is also joining us tonight. So I'd like to pass the floor over to Chief Warrant Officer Chad Lalonde. He'll give us a little bit of an update on Optake Post, and we'll go from there. Chad, over to you.
Thanks. Sound good? Okay, good, thank you. Senior Serving Gunner and senior leadership of the RCA, thanks for this opportunity. Just a quick update. We've talked a lot about the future of the artillery. I talked just briefly about the artillery of the past. So I was fortunate enough to tag along on Optake Post with 93 other gunners and extended members of the regimental family. And I had the opportunity to make the rounds and speak with a number of the soldiers representing most of the units.
It was an excellent opportunity, especially for our young gunners to see, and especially the immense gratitude of the people of the Netherlands for what we had a part in their liberation, and especially that parade on Liberation Day. Their Liberation Day, I believe the route was 4 or 5 kilometers long, lined entirely by the civilian population, clapping and cheering the whole time that we were marching past. It was outstanding, and I don't think there's a member serving today that will forget that in the hopefully very long careers that they have. On that, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the RCAA, any of the unit associations or senates, the units themselves, and any individuals that helped make that happen for those young soldiers, whether it was making sure they had the time off or especially making donations to help augment those young soldiers attending that. So that was an excellent opportunity for them. And like I said, I don't think they will ever forget that. But thank you.
Sims, thank you very much. Sim McGowan, I see your mic is off, so nothing else to add?
Nothing else to add, sir. Thank you.
Hey, no, thanks very much, gentlemen, for being here. And un gros merci pour non seulement les appointements, le John McGowan, mais le Jean-Chef Lelon là, pour la récapitulation, the summary of Optic Post. Thanks very much. I'm going to quickly turn it back over to the regimental colonel to see, you know, when I was a regimental colonel, we always used to say it's the less, I used to use the word less sexy lines of operations, but the necessary backbone of the regimental family. Alors, qu'un régimentaire, toujours dans l'ombre, mais vraiment la colonne de la famille régimentaire. Alors, si vous avez une courte mise à jour à faire. À toi, Ryan.
Merci beaucoup pour cette introduction, Steph. J'apprécie. Hey, so a couple of updates here from me, Regimental Colonel. So the next RCA Senate is going to be on the 27th of May at 1700 hours. For those who are attending, my regimental major can send out the links if you do not have them right now. She can also provide all the documents that we're going to be and the topics that are going to be shared in that Senate as well. Next one is the JTAC Wings project. So all have been approved on the JTAC Wings project front. A lot of work went into that by a lot of people. These are wings that you would wear on your uniform. They'll become available in the Canex in due time. Right now, we're working with the Canex on production of that. Product's on its way. It's not there now, but have patience. It will be there. It will be there soon. Next one, quarterly Spirit of Ubique contest. Don't forget to submit your entries to the RHQ. That's my regimental major, Lindsay Jackson. The deadline for that is the 30th of June. Next one, the RLC 2025 is going to be happening this fall. That's the regimental leadership course. It's going to be occurring in Shiloh, 22 to 24 October. I am 95% sure this is going to be an in-person event. So the last one that we had, unfortunately, some funding issues. We couldn't make it an in-person. There's a lot of people that did attend virtually, but this one will be in person. So we'll get back to what it used to be here this fall in Shiloh. And then finally, my last one, KitShop Rewards Program. KitShop's doing Uber business there right now. They're delivering some awesome products that everybody wants. And they're doing really, really well. It's a very successful kit shop we got going on right now in the RHQ. So the rewards program has officially begun. We're currently working to include ERE personnel in the system. Your ERE and contribute to the RCA fund. Please reach out to the RHQ RCA to receive your coupons. That is all I have. Thanks all to your continued service, your professionalism, your commitment to the Royal Regiment. Merci à vous tous pour votre service continu, votre professionnalisme et votre engagement envers le Régiment Royal. Ubique.
Merci, Ryan. Thank you very much, Regimental Colonel. And before I go to a quick Q&A with General Masson, if his offer still exists, I'd like to bring Major General Retired Stu McDonald a request from the 5th BC Foundation about an anniversary dinner or event that they're going to host this December. So, General, I know I saw you earlier. I've just lost which screen you're on. So, over to you, sir.
I'm there, but Craig Cotter, former CO, is going to be the speaker.
All right, Craig, you're up.
Okay, can you see my screen? Can you hear me? Anybody there?
Yeah, we got you. You're loud and clear, Craig.
Okay, good. So it's the 150th, or coming up to the 150th anniversary of General Currie's birth. Why is the 5th engaged with this? Well, Currie served with the 5th BC Coastal Garrison Artillery from recruit to CO, 1879 to 1913. He also served with the 16th Battalion as a CO for a year before he went off to World War I. The 16th Battalion is now the Canadian Scottish Regiment. We share an armory together. That's why we're collaborating on this event that's coming up. So in addition to that, he was also the honorary colonel of the 5th, as well as 2 Field from 1919 to 1933. That's why we're engaged on this particular event. What we will do here in Victoria is shown on the screen, a 2-day event, historical seminar. Concurrently, we're getting all the high school students we can find in to take a look at our museums and displays in the armory, including the unit having displays. There'll be a birthday cake to celebrate General Currie's 150th, and hopefully the Colonel Commandant will help us cut the cake. And there'll be a VIP dinner that night just for our VIPs who are in town. Saturday, Officer Professional Development Day and a combined unit special guest night. The 5th is involved here to highlight the milestones of the 150th anniversary event. This is a significant event, only occurring this year, because obviously he was born 150 years ago. And few of us will be around for his 200th. So we want to make this a big deal for 2 reasons. We want to run this event here in the unit, but also we're encouraging all units at their St. Barbara's events this coming year, 2025 in December, to toast General Currie on his 150th anniversary. This is a chance for us to keep our heritage going with some of our general officers. General Currie is certainly one we want to recognize. We've gone out to many people asking for participation. Some are not able to come. Some are they've received the message and they're working on it to see if they make it there. So we intend to have a fair number of people there, dignitaries, for this event, either speaking or as a dignitary. What we have is a historical seminar on the first day. Eric Tolman is going to speak on Currie, the Victoria years. Jim Kempling will speak on Victoria Goes to War. Mark Zolke, as we all know from With a Few Guns, is speaking on the Brave Battalion, the 16th Battalion. And David Zimmerman will speak about Currie after the war. We're still looking for a few other people to fill in the blanks here, but we'll keep pressing away with that. We've got 6 months, so it should all be fine. The PD day for the unit officers and senior NCOs. Colonel Dave Grebstad will speak about Iron Indignation, Artillery Tactics in Vimy Ridge. Dr. William Stewart, what made the Canadian Corps so successful? And Colonel Retired John Crosman will develop development of modern artillery tactics and finishing up with Colonel Chuck Oliviero, a retired Army Corps officers, on professional military education. So we still got a few items that aren't covered off yet. So we're looking for a battlefield view, the future, and leadership. And a couple of suggested people are there. We'll see how that pans out. So our special guest night, the 3 units shown here, 5 Field, 15 Field from Vancouver, and the Canadian Scottish Regiment will be hosting this mess dinner in our armory. Sorry, our special guest night in this armory. And more details will follow on these events across Canada. We don't expect the people are going to fly from the Maritimes to Victoria, although early December here is delightful. We wouldn't mind you coming out this way if you wanted to. But at least in your home unit, please include or insert into your St. Barbara's Day celebration a toast to Sir Arthur Currie. And I thank you very much for the time, Mr. President, to give this pitch. Thank you very much.
Hey, Craig, un gros merci. Craig, thanks very much. I think it's important to highlight important contributions from important gunners from our past, and I would ask you to share that with us to put into the newsletter so we can get it out to the people who weren't on this call but would take interest as they're planning St. Barbara's Day celebrations. Alors, un gros merci, Craig. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before I offer any sort of closing remarks and hand off to the executive director here, with 70 of you on the call, it's going to be hard for me to keep track. So if you have questions for Jean Masson, he is offered to take a few. So either you put them in the chat and I'll read them out, or if you raise your hand, I'll try to find you. And if I don't, it's not because I don't like you. It's just because, you know, I'm limited by my abilities and technology. Alors, le général Masson a gracieusement accepté de prendre quelques questions. Je vous offre de soit de les mettre dans le chat et je lirai les questions ou de lever la main et je vais essayer de vous retrouver. Alors, over to you if you have any questions, ladies and gentlemen, messieurs, dames, si vous avez des questions. I know Murray Beer is normally good for a question. Just trying to find him.
I'm good. I'm tracking and all is good.
Okay, so I see Alex Primack. Alex, I saw your hand up. I just don't see you on my screen. I'm trying to find you on the multiple screens here. Alex, if you can hear me, you go ahead, ask your question, Général Masson. Alex, ta question pour le Général Masson, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you, sir. Unfortunately, I don't have a webcam on this device, so I won't be able to participate in the visual. However, sir, my question, Général Masson, pourquoi rééquiper le premier régiment avec les roquettes et créer un nouveau régiment de canons après, plutôt que de réactiver, le 3 RCHA avec des roquettes? It might be that it will be too late if this decision has been made, but in the interest of keeping the original and longest serving gun regiment a gun regiment for the sake of history and heritage, etc.
Hey, Alex, that's a good question. And I'll be blunt. The Army of the future is all about readiness. I would say that I don't care too much about the history at this point. And I know I should not say that as your senior serving gunner. The rocket project will come with no PY, and it's all about speed and violence. So the easiest way to field this capability was to use the facilities in Gagetown, the infrastructure there, the fact that it's not too far from Dundurn, where the rocket could be stored, and the fact that we're not that far from a very permissible range, i.e. Shiloh/Suffield. So when you look at pros and cons, and I can tell you that there's been a lot of good analysis to find the best place in Canada, to find the easiest way to field this new capability. Shiloh is by far the only contender that will be viable. So I would love to name the rocket regiment 3 RCHA, but it's not the case. So they're going to go to Shiloh for a bunch of good reasons. It will be swift. We're going to give them the rocket, give them the simulator, park the L in Dundurn, take their 777, park that in Montreal, and down the road, potentially 3 RCHA will be reformed in support of 3 Div somewhere out west between between Edmonton, Wainwright, or Suffield. I know we have Rick Parent online, and Rick is one of the key leaders driving that. So Rick, if you could unpack in 30 seconds or less the analysis that you and John Z did for this, please.
Hey, yeah, General, I'm actually on the road having some beers to celebrate a good win today. But yeah, 30 seconds, it's the cost effective. Any sort of infrastructure additions to that file would make it even more emotional and dramatic. It would become unaffordable very quickly and likely result in delays to delivery to the Army. So therefore, just, testament to you and the Army team for showing the math and being decisive. Unlike other files that have, dragged that on for quite a while to the point where it creates kinks in the armor and the story is unsellable. And at the end of the day, the town moves on. So just that's all I have to add to that, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Sorry.
Yeah, Murray.
It's
Murray, go ahead.
I think the point was there needs to be another close support regiment. And wouldn't it be good if it was 3 RCHA? But I think that was the point, mon général.
Yeah, sorry, Alex, if I missed the question. So yes, the answer is yes. Another close support regiment with the SP-155 gun that will be on the wheels for now, because the Army has decided to be a wheeled Army, other than for the tanks, obviously, and it will be in support to 1 brigade. I'm not sure if 3 Div will be named 3 Div in the future, but this is, again, something that is within the Army Commander space and will be west of Saskatchewan. That's what I can tell you.
It's a great question, Alex. Alex, that was a great question. Thanks very much. And, I think it's important to Honorary Colonel Beer's point as well. It's the same thing when we resuscitated the OP batteries, about respecting our heritage and revisiting and bringing back names that existed at the time was critical in that space. So that's perfect. Thank you very much. Any other questions for General Masson? I'm going through the screens here. I'm not seeing any hands up.
There's a couple in the chat, Stefan.
Yeah, in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. From John Kober, Mon Général, will the PRES be aligned with Reg Force capabilities, i.e., modernized from 105 to 155, or given equivalent roles within a divisional context?
Oh boy, that's a tough question. So what I can share for now, John, is most than likely we will not have 105 in the future. 105 is considered a training fleet, and we assess that our light force that may be recreated in the future will be better equipped with mobile mortar of 81 or 120, which is part of IFM. What I asked Colonel Sine as the Director of Artillery is to look at a regional alignment of the reserve with their sister Red Force unit. As I said earlier, rockets are coming to Shiloh. What I envision is the reserve artillery unit in and around Shiloh should become Rocketeers people. So we will take their guns away, and their sole purpose, as far as I know, for efficiency and provide the depth that 1 RCHA will need, they should be able to run the BTS on rocket system, have access to their simulation system, and when required, a couple of times a year, they converge to Shiloh or Suffield, they fire their dummy rocket, and off they go. Similarly, in other parts of Canada, the alignment is not that intuitive. So this is what I'd like the team to do the analysis on and find the best way to align the different specialties that we have in the artillery that makes sense. And that's why I'm saying that not all of the 18 ARES unit in the future will have guns. Some may be specialized in OP and SENS Act. Some may be more focused on rockets or guns or others. But my commitment is to make sure that everyone will have a meaningful task, a relevant task that ties to readiness. That's my plan.
Hey, General, merci. Thank you. And then another question which speaks to recruitment and retention. There's a sense with everything going on that Canadians have a greater support of defense, and we are taking a larger place in that in our communities. And we have reserve units in particular have been active in training within the cities, with the public. Do you expect to see an increase in that kind of training and interaction with the Canadian public, so we stay at the forefront of their minds?
That's a great question, and the bold answer is yes. Yes, absolutely. There's no better ambassador than soldiers in their community to talk about their craft, their skills, their motivation. They're the best recruiter and the best retainer within the team. So as far as I know, the Army Commander has enabled every leader at every level to do more local interaction with the community, to explain who they are, what they do, and their notion of service. So yeah, that's the word that we need to spread across. To attract and retain folks, we need to explain who we are and what we do. And as I said, the artillery is or will be the most modernized branching corps in the whole Canadian Army, and we need to brag about that. So please, yeah, we need to be more present in the community.
Merci, mon général. Another question, which often comes up emotionally, and we're going to see it next week when King Charles is in town with his 21 gun salute. Gunner units proudly gather around our colors for important celebrations, whether it be Three Field, which do it all the time, or the noon gun at the Citadel. The question is to you, as we go through this, is the artillery salutes part of the consideration in army modernization? Are we going to be able to sustain that important role with the public?
Yeah, another great question. So as I said earlier, we want to build an army that is relevant to readiness. Gun salute does not give us the readiness. This being said, the Army and the Canadian Forces fully understand the importance of such ceremonial task. So for now, gun salutes are not on the chopping block. This being said, there's minimum investment with the LG1s and C3s. So the day that they become unsustainable or unavailable for live fire, we may modify them just to be good enough for blank round, and we will leave the minimum that is required in each provinces. So we're able to carry on the ceremonial task. One thing is sure, we will not buy a new system or a new gun to be able to provide, to be able to perform the gun salute task. So for now, it's still okay, but it cannot become something that will be a distraction for the Army.
Hey, merci, mon général. And I'll throw one last one at you, near and dear to my heart as a former instructor and yours as a former commandant. We have a habit of bringing on new capabilities in the Army, but not thinking about the back end. So is our schoolhouse, the Brain Trust, going to get a commensurate growth in order to support these the growth and capabilities that you've described this evening, sir?
We will have to. But again, the artillery school structure hasn't been changed in decades. And shame on me when I was in the seat. I should have looked forward, but it is what it is. The school will have to grow. The number of FCOE tasks, the specialty tasks that are assigned to the school, will also have to be reviewed. And I'm also discussing with the Army Deputy Commander to remove the Deputy Director task to the school commandant and to bring that back to the Army headquarters under cost trap. It is not fair for school commandant like Lieutenant Colonel Leclerc Desjardins to be able to run the center of excellence for everything artillery and at the same time looking at important core and branch issues. So we need to separate those two and have the artillery school folks to solely focus on delivering high-level training, ensuring quality control, and make sure that our their leaders are trained at the highest standard. So we will need to reinvest in structure, and there's no discussion for now. And I can promise you that we're going to put IG or ICIG program on the table. This has proven years after year that this is something that the Army needs to keep, the artillery wants to keep. So this is not a discussion that we will revamp this program. But what I asked the team is the fact that now we're going to specialize even more with the arrival of rockets. I want to know, so what? What is the impact of having another specialty assigned to the artillery school, and how much is enough? So yes, we need to invest.
Hey, merci, mon général. That was going to be the last question, but now General Stu Beer played a trump card, and I can't deny Jeff Scamahorn as one of the air defenders on this call. So, General Stu Beer, your hands up.
I couldn't resist. I just, well, number one, I want to salute everything you're doing and everything that's going on, both in the serving and the family component of the Royal Regiment. Steph, Dan Benjamin was the Colonel Commandant of the military engineers, and he handed off just 3 weeks ago. And in his passing of the baton, he made a remark which was to Paul Winnick. He said, when I was a major in Montreal in 1986 as an engineer, I was on the Director Canadian Military Engineers staff at Army headquarters full-time, focusing on the capability of, the generation of, and the development of the engineering function for war, including readiness and the whole 9 yards. Do you see the Army returning to a time when you can get past the secondary duty of the director and the regimental colonel, go back to a full-time focus on the functions and the stewardship of those functions via the branches that we used to enjoy in a time when we weren't in a resource constrained environment? And I loved your thumbs up, by the way. So go ahead.
Sir, thank you so much for your question. And you're well informed. So I have an info brief with General Wright next week about cost track line of governance restructure. And this is exactly what we need. It's not me, Steph Masson, but we as an Army, we need to recreate. So for those of you who are familiar with the matrix organization, we need to create that in the Army. I know it's not intuitive for Army folks because it's moving away from ORBAT, but we need to bring in the Army the notion of capability management. So one of them will be fires, another one will be survivability, mobility, soldier system, simulation, all that stuff. So that will be the lateral cross integrator across the Army to make sure that when we buy a piece of equipment from day one to the end of the service life, we look holistically, laterally to make sure between CAT-TC and ops and support in the division, we look after the capability, and the Corps Deputy Director will be the full-time staff officer assigned and liable for this cross integration. So one thing that I have not discussed, and again, it's pre-decisional, as part of this maneuver division that the Army is envisioning, we will have a fires brigade. So it is a big win for the artillery. The plan for now will be to centralize all indirect fire systems from SP gun to rocket under a gunner's colonel that will command the fires brigade. That's a big win. And no one is debating that because everybody understands that at the div level, fires asset need to be centralized at the highest level for decentralization and the execution. So I don't want people to get too excited about this, but this is the path forward for the artillery aspect within the division. So the fires brigade commander could take a portion of that role, but I would see the bulk of the duties to be centralized under the Army headquarters, so we can have full-time talent assigned to taking care of all the different capabilities in the Army.
Thanks, Steph.
Merci, General Beer, and thanks, General Masson. Jeff Scamahorn has retracted his question. Dr. Stone offers that, reviewing some of the way we did business in the 80s in terms of divisional and the core level training could be a useful thing to look at. And I'm sure that's being done. And I would offer that, the last time we had divisional artillery was at RV 92, and I think my dad was the commander of divisional artillery. So, it's good. It's great to see that, what's old is new, but what's old worked. So it's good to see it come back as we're going through. I think what I'll do is there's still some more questions coming in, but I think in the interest of carrying on with the evening, I will capture some more of these questions and I'll share them with you offline there, General Masson. But there's obviously some concern about maintaining the in the question set, which I know you've got the answers to. We can speak to at the AGM this fall about, it's fine to spend this money and acquire all these new capabilities, but are we going to have, a recap, and is that all going forward, or is there going to be one-ofs? But I know you and your team are thinking this through, so we can discuss that further, and I'll send you the questions offline. So,
if I may, by the AGM, by October, the Army commander will have decided on all that. So I'll be public space at the time, and whoever we need, well, the Army commander will be engaged on, from as far as I know. He's going to be the best person to unpack and explain what he has in mind, and then we can drill down as much as we want for the artillery subcomponent of that. So a few more months, it will be decisional, and then the commander will explain the rationale. Thank you.
Hey, General, and thank you for taking the question. So I'll use this opportunity again to do another plug for AGM. So you've heard it from our senior serving gunner. You know, all else going well, we should be able to have a wholesome discussion on decisions made in the delivery of some of this stuff. And Chris Sines, as the director, will come up with the working group subjects like he did last year, and we'll pick the brains of the instructors gunnery as they take us through this discussion with the DLR staff. So I again welcome you all to the AGM to participate in those discussions and contribute to those discussions. Alors, je prends l'opportunité de vous inviter à nouveau à l'Assemblée générale annuelle cet automne, le 3 et 4 octobre à Gagetown. Le général Masson a été clair, le général Wright va avoir pris ses décisions. On va voir les décisions en place pour être capable des groupes de travail bénéfiques, non seulement pour le général Masson et le directeur de série, mais tous les états-majors à fur et à mesure qu'on met les plans de mise en œuvre pour les différentes fonctions. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to take this opportunity to wrap up the formal part of the coast to coast toast. The toast itself is actually a short portion, but I am forever grateful, General Masson, Colonel Commandant, and others for being here tonight, for allowing us to have this deep dive, not only into where the future is going, but the importance of history and reflecting on our past. Alors, un gros merci à Général Masson et Général Patterson d'être ici ce soir. Je pense important non seulement de discuter vers le futur, parce que c'est ça qui nous fascine naturellement en tant qu'artilleur, mais aussi de refléter sur notre passé, que ce soit avec les commentaires de Craig Cotter ou de Général Patterson et l'importance de la famille régimentaire telle que stipulée par notre colonel régimentaire. So at this time, the original plan was to have breakout sessions, but I'd forgotten that the executive director wasn't going to be in country. So he's in Norway, and I'm not sure if we were going to be able to deliver. If not, we will just sign off on that. So Leon, are you still with us? Because it's probably like 1:30 in the morning now in Norway. Leon? Did I lose Leon?
Still here.
Hey, Leon,
Mr.
did we have a... Yeah, no, do we have a solid plan for breakout sessions, or are we going to, because that was on the original schedule, I just don't know if we're going to be pulling it through now.
No, I didn't set up this meeting, so unless Kat's got it set up.
No, it's all good. So, ladies and gentlemen, although we're on the original agenda, between me and Take Post and everything else, it got dropped, so that's my bad. As I said last fall at the AGM, I'm my own worst staff officer. So we will forego with the breakout session. But again, I thank you all for being here tonight. It's impressive when you can get almost 80 members of the regimental family together coast to coast to contribute. And just to offer you one last thought, you know, if you have anything you want to share with the Royal Regiment, please send it our way. We'll make sure it gets into the monthly newsletter. If you know members of the regiment who are serving regular reserve, but who have not activated their RCA membership, I encourage you to encourage them to do so they can get news of events like this. Alors, je vous remercie tous d'être ici ce soir. Je vous invite d'encourager ceux qui sont en service, soit dans la force régulière ou réserve, d'activer leur membership avec l'association. Tous artilleurs sont membres de l'association automatiquement. Toutefois, il faut l'activer pour avoir un courriel pour être capable de leur envoyer les nouvelles des choses qui se passent. And again, think about the Gunner Peer Support Program. If you like coffee, great opportunity with a wooden bike. Go to the website and please consider joining us at the AGM. It was a truly remarkable event last year, and I think this year, as we're setting the conditions for our 150th in 2026, it's going to be another great event. Alors, un dernier rappel de contribuer à l'Association des pairs pour les artilleurs. Le général Patterson dit souvent que ça devrait être notre cause principale. Et je vous invite encore à participer à notre Assemblée générale annuelle. J'ai vu dans le chat que le général Patterson a acheté 6 billets ce soir lors de la discussion. Les billets d'avion pour nous rejoindre à Gagetown. Et merci d'être là. Thank you for being a great gunners. Thanks for being here. Good day to be a gunner. Everybody have a good night. Une bonne journée mes artilleurs. Merci d'être là ce soir, les amis. Bonsoir.
Take care.